We are going to go out to Louisiana, and we've got Catholic traditionalist, he, him pronouns, wants to talk to us about God. Hey, CT, you're hanging out with Secular Rarity
Hello.
and Tom
Hey,
Benson.
how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, how you guys doing? Yeah, so how is it that there's not any God?
Are you asking me?
Yes, you're atheist, right?
Yeah, so my stance is that every God that has ever been laid out to me fails in some way, right? Whether it's just a logical contradiction or there's just no demonstration of particular attributes to accept. So what I would say to that is, what God do you think exists? And then we can talk about it. Because I'm assuming you don't think, like
God,
Vishnu is real, right?
yeah, if I define God as all that you perceive to exist as being contingent upon that God that is the ultimate behind all that exists, and he is a mind, how is it that that God does not exist in your atheistic worldview?
Well, there's a couple of things there. I'd also just real quick, and then I want to give it over to Tom so I don't just take the whole time with you, CT. But a couple of things there. One, atheistic worldview, I think is kind of a misnomer, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to ascribe a single answer to all questions, and that I just don't really know anybody that does that. But I would say, if you give me the description that you just gave me, my first response would just be, how does a mind exist without any other existence? How does a mind exist if you're saying it's the grounding and foundation for all of existence? You're saying before anything was, this mind was. How does that square? How does that work for you?
Yes. So with regards to existence itself, there's existence that is contingent upon other things. You agree with that, right?
Sure, but how do you get to a mind that's non-contingent? That's what I care about.
Right. Right. Because if you have the ultimate behind all that is, then it couldn't be contingent upon anything else because it would be ultimate. Do you agree with that?
Unfortunately, just real quick, CT, I want to make sure that we're focused so that Tom can jump in here in a second. Because this is, I'll just ask you this, see if we can get an answer on this real quick, and then I'll kick it over to him. My question is very specific. It's not about contingent or necessary things. I'll give it to you. There's a necessary thing. How are you getting to the conclusion that the necessary thing is a mind? That's the most important thing for me, I think, in what you just said.
Yes, because that is the definition that I'm putting forward with regards to God. So I'm saying that.
Okay, but if you just define things like that, does that have any relation to the real world around us? If I just define a cup as a car, does that have any relation to the real world around us? And is it important that our definitions have relations to the world around us? Two easy questions.
Well, do you believe in that God that I defined?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, why?
I mean,
God does not exist. Why do you not believe in that God?
Because you haven't given me any demonstration for a mind that exists before all other existence. But give me a sec. I want Tom to jump in here.
No, I mean, like the classic example is like, what are you? Would you consider yourself a non-astrologer?
No, I'm not an astrologer. So
no, a non-astrologer, right? Oh, you're atheist astrology, like non-astrologer. Like,
yeah, since I'm not an astrologer, right? So since I'm not an astrologer, I would be a non-astrologer.
Okay, and tell me how you exist then by not believing in astrology, like by not understanding that Saturn and the moons and like all this shit affects our daily lives.
Yeah, because astrology would not be the ultimate behind all things. But with regards to what I just defined,
what if we define it that way?
Yeah, it is what is behind all things.
I put forward as God. If I put forth this definition as God, you're claiming that you don't believe in that God, correct?
I mean, it's not a claim; it's a fact. I know what my own beliefs are. Okay, but this is really important. Is that we should, when trying to understand the world around us, we should more or less play the same game. Okay. So if you, CT, get to say, well, I just define God as just being that thing that starts everything else. Cool. I define flippity floop that way. what's the differentiation between my thing and your thing? How do you get to accepting that your thing is real?
I can answer that. Sure,
Yeah.
I can answer that. Because show me where Flippity Flute went ahead and revealed himself to you.
So you've got revelation. So you've got personal revelation.
God that I
CT, hang on a
define.
second.
Hold on,
Hang
I
on.
can show where the God that I.
We don't have to go any further. You've already given me the answer, and that's great, honestly, because I thought that's what you were going to say. I kind of assumed that you were going to say, well, I've got personal revelation for my thing, right? So I just make sure, because we don't need to go down another route here. You're saying the thing that differentiates your definition of just all the necessary stuff in the world versus my definition is that yours has been revealed to you. And I got you on mute, so just give it a second. I'll pull you back on. Just want to make sure we're on the same page. Okay, CT?
Yeah.
You're back on.
Can I be heard?
You're back on.
Be heard?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no need to put me on mute because we can have a back and forth without you putting.
Well, I'm going to put you on mute again. And
This isn't a hostage scenario.
Yeah,
like, what
the
are you
reason that
doing?
I'm going to put you on mute, CT, is because we only have a limited time, okay? And I want to actually get to your thoughts. I want to hear you describe your things and argue for them. But the problem is if you're just going to ramble for 5 minutes when you answered my question, that's not going to be beneficial for anybody. It's not going to be a good conversation for either of us. So let's take a step back. And all I'm asking is just clarification to make sure that you and I are understanding the same thing. And it sounds like what you're saying is you gave this definition that applies to God, that is the ultimate grounding of all things. I gave this other definition that applies to another thing. Okay? You said the reason your thing is real is because of personal revelation. That's all I'm asking. Are we on the same page so far? And I'm going to unmute you in just a second, and you should be good to go now. Are we on the same page?
Because I never said personal revelation. So you're adding words to.
You said God was revealed to you. Is that not personal revelation?
Say.
Did you say God was revealed to you?
No. Natural revelation is personal revelation. Now that is something that God did reveal, I believe. But there's other revelations that are not personal revelation, whereby we can know that God exists.
Let's just stick with the one thing that differentiates the two definitions we've got on the table, okay? I've got my silly made up thing. You've got your thing that I'm also saying is made up. What's the thing that differentiates between them? Are you saying natural revelation?
Sure. So with regards to natural revelation is with regards to knowing that a God exists. Now, if you're going to claim that
stop right there. Stop right there.
Now, hold on. I'm talking.
No, because you already answered the question and now you're just going off on a different route. If you genuinely believe that natural revelation is the thing that differentiates between these two definitions, then cool, man. We don't need any other explanation. Let's actually hash out the conversation we're trying to have, okay? So, CT, what do you mean by natural revelation? That doesn't make sense to me, and I'd be willing to put $1 down that it probably doesn't make sense to Tom either.
I was going to ask you, like, for the folks at home, if anybody knows what that is, let us know.
What is natural revelation? That's what we want to know.
CT, you're here. What is it?
Yeah, I didn't go ahead and say that natural. See, the thing is, you guys aren't listening to what I'm saying. I didn't say that natural revelation.
You know what? You're right. You're right, CT. I'm not listening. And
we're trying to listen really good. That's the problem. Like, we're listening super good. You're not listening, CT. Which that's okay. It's Happy Father's Day.
Yeah,
we're here.
Seriously, we're trying to have a good back and forth. Okay, and I understand that this isn't always the best format for things. Understandable. Okay, but please get me here. Okay, Tom and I did not come here today to just yell at people. Right? We didn't come here today to just mute people repeatedly, but we also didn't come here today for somebody to just avoid the conversation that they called in to talk about. We didn't call you. We didn't reach out to you. Thank you so much for calling us. We're deeply, deeply happy to have you. But we actually have to talk about the thing that you want to talk about. So if you say a word or phrase that doesn't make sense, and Tom and I have no understanding of what you're talking about, we have to understand before we can proceed. Okay. So instead of, when I pull you back on here in just a second, instead of you going, oh gosh, you guys are muting me all the time, blah, blah, blah. Instead of that, let's just go right to it. Hey, folks, we got CT here from Louisiana. He, him wants to say that the reason God exists is because of natural revelation. Hey, CT, you're on the show. What do you mean by natural revelation?
Okay, I didn't say what you said that I said. I didn't say that it is only by natural revelation that differentiates between the definition I gave of God and your
Okay, fine. But what do you mean by natural revelation? Fine. It's not your only
Natural
criteria. I
revelation-
don't think I said that. But what do you mean by that phrase? That is the important crux of what we're trying to get to.
Yes, natural revelation means that God has made it known to all mankind that he exists by writing it upon our conscience that he exists. That's what natural revelation is.
How do you show that? How do you demonstrate that?
By the fact that I know that God exists, and I've always known
I know
that
God doesn't exist.
that,
So now I know God doesn't exist. We're in the exact same boat there. What's the differentiation between our two things here?
Well, how can you say that you know that God doesn't exist when you?
How can you say that you know God exists when it's not written on your consciousness?
Hold on. I didn't get my question out. Are you going to allow me to get my question out?
Sure, go ahead. I'm sure it'll be the thing I already answered.
The producers say we're supposed to give you a minute because of the whatever.
We could give you a minute. Would you like a minute, CT? We'll give you a minute uninterrupted.
Explain to the folks. Maybe we'll be persuaded.
Right, we'll get that.
Okay, you're going to give me a minute? Great. You're not going to interrupt me?
We'll get that clock on the board here so that everybody can see it. Yeah, give it to us like we're 5 here, CT.
ELI 5.
Okay, so with regard, tell me when to start.
Now.
And start.
Okay, so you just claimed that Flippity Floop is the ultimate behind of all of reality. Well, if that's the case, then Flippity Floop would be God if he is the ultimate behind all of reality. And apparently you know some kind of way that Flippity Floop is the ultimate. So that would mean that somehow Flippity Floop must have revealed it to you, unless you're just lying to everyone in your audience. You're lying to your audience. Now, with regards to the one true God, the definition that I gave, we have ontological intelligibility with regards to things themselves, the aboutness of things, the nature of being of things. They have characteristics. Characteristics involve the principles of logic. Logic involves a mind. It's an abstract. It's not a concrete. It's an abstract. So that would mean that even if human beings didn't exist, the universe itself would have existed, and the characteristics of the universe.
Finish up your thought.
So notice, everyone, that he interrupted me. So
it was over a minute. I literally just said you finished with your minute, but I'm going to let you finish your thought. Like, if you want to come on here and pretend like you're intelligent, that's fine. But like, I mean, literally it was on the screen. It was a full clock. Okay. Everything you've just said, CT, you could have saved yourself a lot of oxygen just by saying, I'm a presuppositionalist, you guys. That's it. That's all you have to do, because that's what you're describing. You're describing that you just presuppose the existence of God to ground all of these things. But the problem is, again, we're playing the same game and you're losing because you're presupposing more things than non-religious individuals presuppose. If I presuppose the laws of logic and you do too, and then you just go, well, I add this God thing underneath it, that's not a better argument, because now you have more to contend with later on down the line. You have to answer all of these objections that the God existence brings to you, and you still have all the problems with the foundations of logic. You haven't answered anything. And in that entire time, we gave you to give us some way, some demonstration whatsoever of your understanding of God being the ultimate, as you call it, which you also haven't defined, but I'll just give it to you. So again, do you have any way of demonstrating that your understanding of what that necessary thing is for all existence, do you have any way of demonstrating that your criteria is what adheres to that thing? Is there any way whatsoever? Or do you just presuppose it?
Yeah, notice, audience, that the host lied. They said they wouldn't go ahead and.
They can't hear us.
Notice, audience, that I'm not able to count backwards from 60 down to 0. But either way,
It's
the
okay.
point is, CT, look, I got you muted, and I'm going to let you go. And the reason I'm going to let you go is because I don't feel like you're really intending to have this conversation, which is frustrating, honestly, because we have other callers, and I don't want to waste the audience time. You know, Tom has given his wonderful time to come here and hang out with us, and I just don't want to bore everybody with somebody who refuses to take the opportunity given to give us some kind of demonstration. Honestly, like, Tom's not upset. I'm not upset. The problem is we've got somebody on the line right now who wants to tell me that they know something, and all I want is just show it to me. Just demonstrate it to me in any way at all. I'd take anything right now, CT, but you haven't done that for some reason. And I'm not positive if it's because you have learned enough about presuppositionalism to recognize that it's a bankrupt ideology, or if you just need to look further into presup. I mean, go look up Saitin Bruggencate then. Like, he's the presup extraordinaire. Go check all his stuff out and like sharpen your metal here, because what we've gotten so far has been you walking me through the first paragraph of somebody explaining presuppositionalism to me. And we're trying to get further on in that understanding, but I don't know that you have gotten there yet to formulate those ideas. So I really do. I want you to call back. I'd like to have this conversation with you because I think there are some really, really glaring problems in presuppositionalism. I've heard J Mike talk about it a bunch, actually, by the way. So that being said, like I said, man, I'm letting you go because I just feel like you need a bit more substance here, because again, if somebody, Tom, if somebody spends a few minutes explaining to you, like, there's this thing and it's like a metal kind of container, but inside of it there are seats and it's got like these round things on the bottom, and like, you know what I'm talking about? It goes vroom vroom sometimes, you know?
I call that an automobile.
Yeah, if somebody spends that long trying to explain to you a concept that is that simple and contained in a single word, I gotta say, hey, go back, look up some more stuff, please, and call us, because presuppositionalism is at least interesting when fully formulated. But again, I just think it's incredibly wrong.